We're holding at the end of the second Perek. If you saying Ahmed Aleph, and it's the from the line at the bottom. Oh, so how are you? Zog the Gemara. There was something that was a double ogle that Rabbi would say. Similar to what before. This is Yud Zayin Amud Aleph. The last piece of the Gemara is the very big lines, the fat lines. Moshe, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, Rabbi, yeah.
Could you hear me?
Hey, yeah, Rabbi, coming in
okay,
clear.
Let's start again. Oh, great. Baruch Hashem. Okay, so the Gemara Meragla Plume, the Rav would always say this thing. Tachlis Toy. What's Tachlis Chachma? Which is Torah, which Rashi says. So what's the Tachlis is true of Meisim Tovim. Shalo Yodem Koide Vashenem Boyet Yoviv Ve'ema Yoverabo Yovimishu Godlu Meno V'Chokma V'Minyan. That it shouldn't be that a person is learning Torah and now they're very haughty and and therefore they would kick the father, the mother, the Rebbe, someone's bigger. I'm a big guy myself. You're telling me your opinions. You tell me what to do. You tell me how to think. Chochma, what's the beginning of Chochma, which is Torah, Yiris Hashem. Seichel Toiv L'chol Hashem. Loisim Linam Ela Loisayim. It says Loisayim. Loisim Lishma, Loisim Lishma Lishma. There's a difference if you do Lishma and not Shma Lishma. Chaloisim Shalai Lishma, Neich Lishma, it would have been better that it shouldn't be created. So, what's the limud here? What's called the limud? So Tosfos says in that Saita, which has a similar Gemara, that the girsa is leloim dea loim nemer elo leoisehem. That the pshat is seichel tov lechol oisehem, not leloim deim. L'chayda, when it says by Torah, we're talking about chochma. We're talking about chochma, which is Torah. We should say seichel tov lechol loim deim, which is Torah you learn, which is limud. Why is it lechol oisehem? Because we're talking about someone that's learning Lishma. So not, it's similar to that as the Pirush of the Mashal, which learns it also in our Girsa. That Isaiah means that he's not only learning, but he's also learning Lishma. So therefore, if he's just learning because he likes learning, but there's no Asiyas HaMitzvah involved. But if he's doing it Lishma, there's Asiyas HaMitzvah involved. The Tzlach has got a sharp teretz. He says, a person that learns Lishma becomes a shutuf for the Eibishter in Ma'aseh Bereishis, and he's not only that, but he's a shutuf in his own creation. A person that learns Shaloi Lishma is Noach Lo Shaloi Nivra, but a person that learns Lishma is Noach Lo Shenivra. So therefore, I say him, he's making himself through learning Torah. The Eibishter says, "You're a shutuf to me in your own creation." Seichel Tov L'Chol Isayim. I mean, Rashi and Tosfos both. Let's learn inside, in the inner vein. Tachlis, Chochma, Ikra Shal Torah. What's the Ikra of Torah? Sheyiem Ima Tshuva Maisim Tov. There's a famous mimer from the Rebbe, which is in Tov Shemem, starts with these words. Meragla de Puma de Rova, Tachlis Chochma, Tshuva Maisim Tov. And he brings a mimer from his father-in-law who asks, L'chayra, sounds very nice, but L'chayra, it's why? Why would you say that L'chayra Torah is the yin of Seichel and Asiya is the yin of Bittul? They're two opposites. Why would you? And the Rebbe explains, because that's basically, if you would say, this is basically the Diuk Enashi, Ikra Shal Torah Shi'im Tshuva Maisim Tovim. If you would say, Tachlis Chochem and the Tachlis, what's the purpose of learning Torah? A guy, a big time Chochem, but when it comes to someone that's a little older than him, instead of being respectful, and instead of listening to someone else that is a little older than him and has a little experience in life, he's boyet. What do you tell me what to do? What do you do? Who do you think you are? I'm very smart, he says. I'm very smart. I don't need your advice. Keep your advice to yourself. I don't need your advice. I don't need your advice. He's a big chochem. I'm very smart myself. What do you think? Just because you think just because you're in the 70s, you're a very smart man because you have. I'm very smart, he says. So you could say that that's not a tachlis. We want to see that a person learn Torah and become a more a mensch, more a yidishamayim, tachlis, chochma, is tshuva ma'asim tovim. Like the Alter Rebbe says, the tshuva, why first tshuva and the ma'asim tovim? Because when a person does tshuva, then the mitzvahs afterwards are ma'asim tovim u'me'idim. The mitzvah is shining. If a person doesn't do tshuva, so the mitzvah is a mitzvah. If he does a mitzvah, ein aveda mechaba mitzvah. But still, it's not. You don't see the toiv. The mitzvahs are not shining. Once a yid does tshuva, it's the ma'asim. So then that person has the tachlis, a different tachlis. So the Rebbe, but that's not really what Rashi is saying. Rashi is saying tachlis chochma means not the tachlis, like you say, talk tachlis, let's talk tachlis, right? Let's talk tachlis. What's coming out of this, right? Rashi is saying, no, tachlis means ikra shel Torah, sheyim tshuva ma'asim tovim. Tachlis doesn't mean tachlis, like we'd say today in Hebrew, tachlis. Tachlis here means the ikir, because really that's really the lashon of the pasuk. The pasuk is where are we learning this from? Rava learned it from a pasuk. The pasuk says, Reishis Chachma. What's the Reishis of Chachma itself? Yiras Hashem. It's not that that's the tachlis of the Chachma. That is the Reishis of the Chachma. Therefore, Rashi says, tachlis Chachma doesn't mean what's the tachlis that comes out of the Chachma. Ikra shel Torah. That's why the Friedrich Rebbe asks, how can you tell me that? The limud Torah is a piseichel, the person versteht that, seichel. And the Maisa is the bittul, like a Eved and a Melech. The Melech tells him to do, so he's bittul, he does. How can you tell me that the tachlis of Torah, which is the yin of seichel, should be a yin of bittul? They're two opposites. And then a kuda of the Chassidus, the Maimer is that the ikar yin of a yid learning Torah is not, I think that this is I think that I'm a big, a joke, just a joke. They said that the yeshiva, someone didn't like the Tosfos. The Tosfos totally didn't make sense. What out that Tosfos? So Schava said, well, what's shuldig the Tosfos? On the other side, there's another Tosfos. That's a good Tosfos. So why do you cut it out? So he said, oile rosh, oile shchene. That's a whole bit of a bad joke. But the word is that a person is learning algebra, a person is learning base, a person is learning medicine. So you wouldn't say the iked is bittul. You see, Taka, that their scientists are not very bittul-dike people. They're the opposite, very arrogant people. Namol, you come once again in the Welt, they don't know what, they can't figure it out already a couple of months. All of a sudden, the people getting a little bit of bittul. but otherwise they're very arrogant. Sagt Rava, that when it comes to Toida, the Ikri Shel Toida is not the arrogance. I'm a smart guy. I can figure it out. I can innovate. If you're a techie, and you're inventing various more applications for the computer, so you wouldn't say that the tachlis of a chochem is bittul, because chochem and bittul just the opposite. Usually, anoshim chachamim are not the most bittul people. But the Rava says when it comes to Torah, the tachlis of chochma is the attitude is the of bittul. And the Rebbe says the Shena Vort, that's what we said last week. We spoke about meragla de puma da baya. Now the Gemara is talking about ragla de puma de rova. The Gemara says, what was the difference between Abaya and Rava? The Gemara says that they said, Adagarmi sugarme be Abaya achlisu bisr shmeina de tura me be Rava. In the Abaya's yeshiva, they would be sucking the bones. It's instead of going to Abaya yeshiva, that cook at his yeshiva really sucks. Go to Rava's yeshiva. Ooh, there you get, what was that type of chicken that is with the skin that your mother would chashwa. And Rava's yeshiva, they give you chashwa. They give you good stuff. So here, I when you tell me stories, I don't forget. So Rava, that's where you eat good meat. That's where you eat the good stuff. That explains. The pshat is that Abaya would say his things very concise. He didn't mefalfel so much. And Rava was very much mefalfel with Talmidim. So if you wanted to understand the logic of the rationale of everything, the Gemara said, instead of going to Abaya, when Abaya is going to teach, you're not going to understand the rationale of everything. He gives it the kitzur. But if you want to understand the Yishmak, go to Yeshiva. Furthermore, we found that the Rava had a relationship with Talmidim, that he used to make a joke before he used to start, about Chirabonon before he used to. So Rava had like a very interesting approach with his Talmidim. So I would say, that's a Dafke Rava. He learned everything with such unbelievable pilpul and svara. So you would say, that bittul is not no place in the place in Rava's yeshiva. It's not a place of bittul. He said, no, don't make that mistake. It doesn't matter. When we're learning Torah, it's Hashem. It's kedusha. We're not learning a subject here. We're not learning algebra. Yeah, right. Like the story with an Edovin of the Hillel. The halacha was them because they were noichim ba'olvin, because they were noichim ba'olvin. And similar to that was Rava. Even though Rava, his big thing was in the ways learned Torah was the svara and to expand. But he said, but you should know the tachlis, like Rashi says, the ikra shel Torah is that the person is learning with bittul mamela sheyiyim matshuva ma'asim Torah. Not next to Rashi. The Rashi says, Rashi has a problem. Rashi says, He's not learning because he wants to do. He wants to be a cantor. Cantor means to tease, but in the wider understanding, l'chayda means that if a person is learning Torah, not because he wants to know Torah, he wants to show off and say, "You think you understand what I'm talking about?" I'll tell you the pshat. So that's shaloi lishma. That's not the reason that you should learn Torah. Rashi says that Perek Makom Sheno Gamrinan Rov Verom Ksiv Ad Shemaim Chazach Ksiv Me'al Shemaim Chazach Kam Ba'isek Shaloi Lishma Kam Shema. The Gemara says over there that Loilam Liyom Adayim Shaloi Lishma Shatach Shaloi Lishma Balishma. So Rashi is asking a question. I don't understand. Usually, tell me that I should learn Shaloi Lishma. Don't worry. If the Gemara says it here, it doesn't sound that way. The Gemara here says Loich Shalom. So there's two types of Shaloi Lishma. Hosamaydi v'Mekayim Kedei Shechabdu v'Chem Hashem Misham Pirkin. Also says a similar answer. Exactly the same answer. That Rashi and Tosha are saying there's two levels Shaloi Lishma. There's a person that learns. He wants to get covered. He wants to get covered. Ooh, it's a big Talmud Chacham. Oh, exactly. So really, the truth is, that's not the reason why you just fail to detect your speaker. Please make sure your speaker is properly connected. Does Darlem hear me? Oh, cool, good.
Yeah, we hear you. The picture sometimes is not so good, but it's okay.
But the audio is beside there?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, good. Baruch Hashem. Okay. So that's the two levels of Shaloi Lishma. One level of Shaloi Lishma is he wants covered. That's not good. That's not. Yiddish Torah. Oh, to actually say if a person, we shouldn't shy away and say we're not gonna learn Torah until we're gonna learn Sifrei Musa until we have learning Torah to be Mizdabek to Kadosh Baruch Hu. Then by the time you're gonna turn around, you'll be 80 years old. And when are you gonna learn? No, start learning. Don't worry. Start learning, even though it's Shaloi Lishma. That's if it's which kind of Shaloi Lishma. In order to have honor and recognition, Sheikh Abdullah. But if it's a Nasla counted, not I should get covered. Sometimes there are people, they like to get covered. But they're not trying to bite off your nose. I like to get covered. There are some people that way. They like to get covered. That's a lot of human beings are that way. But they're not trying to bite off your nose. There's some people that their whole pleasure in life to bite off your nose. If to give me covered, okay, yeah, I'm not looking so much. It's nebach. It's a worse shalom lishma. Person sometimes people like this. It's a terrible thing. They think that they're very fine people. I don't the cover. They say I don't need the cover. In the meantime, it's worse. Their whole thing in life is to shtechen yenem the nose. Yeah, very good, exactly. So for that we say no. If you're going to learn Torah this way, in order to use Torah, kardom, in order to be able to shtech someone else, another yid chas v'shalom, for that we say noich lo shaloi nivra. But if you're going to learn Torah to get covered, that's not the way it should be. How about mitach shaloi lishma bar lishma bar shaba machzir lamut? There's a beautiful story from the Alter Rebbe that spoke about this many times. That the Alter Rebbe once met. The Alter Rebbe was in jail the second time. It was very problematic for the Alter Rebbe. It was common. Not even his life so much. They were thinking in the government to make a thing that he has to stay in the capital city, Petersburg. For the Alter Rebbe, that was terrible because that was out of the palace settlement. Jews couldn't live there. But that wasn't where the Hamish Yidden lived. There may be Baron Ginsburg, right? Not in those days, later. I was just saying, like some rich people, Jews that had the permit to live there because they were high-flying contractors. I'm just using a name. Right. Well, he was a rich man. He was, I think he was yes, a little because in Chabad there's a story with the Rebbe Marash and him. But yeah, he was a very rich man. There's today there's a gorgeous shul. It's gorgeous. He was, he wasn't, right. He was a kosher yid. There was a story that he's mentioning that he gave once. He wasn't a Groiser Talmud Chochem, but he gave him one the scholar movement got to give a lot of money for a project, their project. So the Rebbe Marash sent him from Mishamish said that he better stop giving money for the Haskalah movement, and he told him that all the stocks that he'll buy from today till the 20th of the next month, he'll lose his pants from that. And kachava. Yeah, but then so he stopped. I'm just saying, you see from the story, he wasn't a Haskalah man. He was, sounds to me, man. Man wasn't with collar. He was but he wasn't Haskalah. Anyway, this is probably he had a big collection of. That's you said and where was it that they had his collection? University. That they had all his collection from his collection. Wow, manuscripts too. How did it end up in Israel? That's a mazel. That's a mazel. You know what I mean? Hakol tolib a mazel afilo sefer shebaorim. You know, Rahman al could look at so many manuscripts and books that belong to Chabad rabbis, right? And they're still sitting in Russia because Russia says, well, it belongs to us. It's a national treasure. A national treasure. And we're not letting it out of the country. It belongs to us. Anyway, so that's the story. Okay. Next. Oh, I just wanted to tell the story of the Alter Rebbe. I got a little bit sidetracked. Good. So the story was that there was a Yida Oisher who was not a chassid, but he said, he said that he had pulled him with the next. The kid said he had pulled him and the Alter Rebbe. He wanted to control him. He wanted the Alter Rebbe to. He's going to pick 3 Gedolei Yisrael that were not in the camp of Chassidim. He wanted the Alter Rebbe should go talk to them. Alter Rebbe was masking. There were 3 people that Ayid, who was Talmid Chacham, was a Talmud of the Gaon. The Gaon already passed away a long time by then. And his name was Yeshua Heschel Tzeitlin. Yeshua Heschel Tzeitlin. There are families today. There's a very popular name in the Tzeitlin family, Yeshua Heschel. Tzeitlin. Some of them spell it right, exactly. And my son-in-law's family, his grandfather's name was Yeshua Heschel. So Tzeitlin. Some spell it with a Z, like the cook in Yeshiva in Chaim Berlin. But it's the same mishpacha. So he was a Yida Gvir. He was a big asken, lived in Shklov, and he was also a big Talmid Chacham. He was a Talmud of the Gaon. So the Alter Rebbe went to meet him, and he asked the Alter Rebbe. It says in Tanya that if Yid learns Torah Lishma, so then that's the Av and the Yida is like the 2 wings. The Av and the Yida are like the wings that I got from the Parchel Eilat, that the Torah that he does flies up. And if not, the Torah doesn't pick up, doesn't have no wings to pick up. So the Alter Rebbe said, it's a Zoya. I'm just quoting a Zoya. I didn't make it up. So he said, okay, I understand it's a Zoya, but we don't pass him from a Zoya. So the Alter Rebbe said, what do you mean? It's a Gemara of Furashes. So he said, yeah, which Gemara? I mean, this guy was a bucket with Shas. He said, which Gemara? Alter Rebbe said, it's Masechet Pesachim. So he's thinking, there's no such Gemara in Gemara Pesachim. Alter Rebbe said, yeah, I think it's a Gemara Pesachim, Dafnun. Gemara says that Rava asked that there's a stira 2 Pesachim. One pasuk says, Godel Ma'al Shemayim Chazdacha. The other pasuk says, Ad Shemayim Chazdacha. So the Gemara asks, the stira, May Al Shemayim or Ad Shemayim? The Gemara answer, depends. If you're doing Lishma, you're doing Shaloi Lishma. If you're doing Lishma, it's Ma'al Shemayim. What does it mean Ma'al Shemayim? It flies up to beyond the Shemayim. But if it's Shaloi Lishma, the Torah gets stuck. It doesn't fly. It goes Ad Shemayim, but not Me'al Shemayim. So we see a Gemara Mefureshes that has in it already this idea from the Zoya. Okay. Anyway, that was the Alter Rebbe's word. So again, to summarize here, Rashi tries to say that there's 2 levels in Shaloi Lishma. If a person is the Torah, then to be one car, okay. He does chas v'shalom or lakanta, the bite of another Yid's nose. Of this we say noyach lo shalom nivra. But anyway, the bottom line is that meragla puma derova. The Rav says that really the tachlis of Torah, the tachlis of chokhmah is tshuva ma'asim. In other words, not the tachlis, meaning that's what should come out of it. That when you learn Torah, you should be a mensch. That we see a Yid walking in the street who's about Torah. We see also that he's a mensch. That goes without saying. It's even more than that. Learn right. So it's a good question. So the truth is, the Mefarshim adds, there's a piece in the davening. They say the Gemara has Ashak Levataya. If so the Gemara has a discussion about it. But there's a funny line. It's in Musaf. I spoke about this once. It's like the funniest line in the end of Musaf, all the way at the end of Musaf, davening. Menuya Gemur says, well, what's Nageya? So Chassidus has about this, but basically the deal is that Noach loy la'odam, not the Banshlam has his cheshbon, versteht sich. But what's Noach to the person? What's Noach for this person would have been Noach shaloi nivra. That's the Banshlam has his cheshbon. Why the Eibishter does his the Odom would have been for such a person would be Noach shaloi nivra. Okay, but now that a person is, but the Rebbeinu Shalom is easier, exactly. That's exactly it. Not better, exactly. Exactly. B'diuk. Okay, let's move on. Zok the Gemara. Meragla b'puma de Rav. Rav used to say always, "Lo yikoy l'mazar l'maba." That this they're not the same thing. Olam haba ein by lo yachila v'lo shasiya v'lo v'ribe v'asmatan v'lo kina v'lo sina v'lo sachrus. Olam haba, there's no eating, there's no drinking, there's no sleeping. In other words, a man and woman in a physical way. There's no business, there's no jealousy, no hatred, there's no competition. Elot tzadikim yoshrin. Exactly. Best azach. Tzadikim yoshrin. They sit by Teresem B'Hashem and their crowns over their heads. Like the Rambam says in the beginning, we say the Torah over here. It doesn't mean a physical, doesn't mean a crown. The Rambam says, like we say, Simchas Olam al Rosham. Ve'ena Simcha Gaguf she'anuach al Rosh. It means that just like our Torah is something which is spectacular. Also, our Torah is something that surrounds. It's even more. In other words, there's something that the person visibly understands. Get that and kepala a little bit goes in, but the crown surrounds the head, protects the head. So, in other words, the tzaddikim will be learning in Torah in a oifen about Torah. And then the ziv hashchina, and they'll also have a noah from the ziv hashchina, which Pashtus and the Gemara learns not the pshat when they by Matan Torah that they actually ate, that there was the Gashmias. Rashi says like that the pshat is sovim miziv hashchina kilo achal b'shasu, that it was as if they were eating and drinking. That so much pleasure of the ziv hashchina was as if they were eating and drinking. The pleasure was so intense. So Mefarshim say very nice. They say, what's Nageya? Rava, I understand. Rava says, you always said, Tachlis Chochmah, I understand. What's the lesson? However, from Meragla b'puma de Rav, what are we learning? So what does it tell me from my everyday thing? So Mefarshim say a person wants to be toyim ba'olam hazeh mein olam haba. Telling me that by eating food, you're not going to be toyim ba'olam hazeh mein olam haba. If you want to taste ba'olam hazeh mein olam haba, then it's loyal yedei achila, loyal yedei shasiya, and so on. Because olam haba is not ka'olam hazeh. So if you want to be toyim ashtikul olam hazeh toyameyu is not from kugel. Toyameyu is from limud HaTorah, from midas toidvis, from doing a mitzvah. That's the real toyameyu. Okay. So the Gemara, gedoyla haftacha shivticha kadosh baruch hu l'noshim yoysa min ha'anoshim. That the noshim have a bigger schutz in learning Torah than the anoshim. It's a beautiful thought. When you come home tonight, you should share it with the family. It's an unbelievable thought. It's brought in Yom that the Minhag Chabad was to say also when a person has a baby girl to be zoicha l'toyra megadol the girl l'toyra l'chuppah l'maisim toivim, because the Gemara says that gedol haftocha sheiftiach l'noshim yoysim min ha'anoshim. So we see that the noshim have a shaychus Torah also. Noshim have the schus. But the Gemara here is saying is something that the noshim have a bigger schus. Shenamar, where do we learn it from? It says in the pasuk, noshim shananas, that there's the women that they're very calm. Koim nashmana, koili b'nois boitches azenim rasi. Pasha, just talking about these women that are, calm, sitting as I doing the manicure, pedicure. They're saying, listen up a little bit. But the Gemara dashens that women be'etzem are shananos. Why is women shananos? Why a boitches? What's the schus that you're telling me that they're shananas and boitches? So the answer is Bakrui Banayu Levei Chnishta. Because they bring their sons to learn the Mikra in the Beis HaKnesses. And by allowing that their husband should learn in the house. They wait husband's permission to go to Beit Rabbanon to learn Torah, and they wait for them. So why is this schus bigger? Same. They split the schus with their spouses. They split the schus with their children. Why are they schus bigger? So the Mefarshim say one is a word that the Rebbe used to say a lot. No, but good. But she's splitting his schus. So why is her schus bigger? He learned the Daf Gemara, and so she splits the schus. So why is the Gemara saying that the women is gedola, that their thing is bigger? So two answers. One is the hemshach. This Gemara is the hemshach. What we said in the previous Gemara, that there's limud lishma and shalom lishma. What happens? She's to the Beit Medrash to learn. She's learning shalom lishma. It's not her fault. It's not her fault. So he ends up learning Torah shalom lishma. But she's lishma. I said it right away. So therefore, it's exactly. So therefore, she is Bam is gedola the haftocha, because the man, if he ends up going to the Beis Medrash and he's learning shalom lishma, his chus is not so big. And the Gemara says that noach lo shalom nivra. But the woman, it's not her fault. He's learning shalom lishma. So therefore, her schus is guaranteed. In other words, for her, it's money in the bank. She's guaranteed the schus. Lishma, nish lishma. He learned more. He learned less. He came to shul. He fell asleep. What's achillah? She has the schus. Came to shul. She let him go. So she has the schus. Second pshat is it's the same thing really, but another angle is a person can lose his schus. By a woman, it's money in the bank. The schus is there, and that doesn't matter. It's her schus. Let's continue. That's why I said that she shared this thought with very nice. when the Rabbanon were saying goodbye to each other, when they were leaving the Beis Medrash or the Bami. They would say, or if they're leaving the Shiva, they would say to each other, this is what they would say. That you should be zeicher to see Noilam Haza, Me'ein Noilam Haba. And ultimately you should end up in Noilam Haba because for learning Torah, it ends up in Noilam Haba. Which is that's Noilam Haba is something which is eternal. Libcha, Yagit Tfuna. From your life should be Mechadish, Tvuna and Torah. Picha, Yidaber Chachmas, your mouth you should use for Chachmas. L'shoncha, your tongue, Yachish, should be honest. The Mashal says that when a person is teaching Torah, so even after he passed away, his lips are moving in the kever. But anyway, back in the Gemara, the Pashup Pshat is saying that even though we're leaving the Beis Medrash, but you should know that every part of your goof it should be dedicated to learning Torah. Your heart should be dedicated to thinking Torah. Your mouth should be dedicated to learning Torah. Your tongue should be dedicated to learning Torah. Apapecha, your eyes, Yashiru Nagdecha, Einecha, Yiru b'moyer Torah, Panecha, Aziru Kezer Rakia, that your eyelashes should and your eyes should be dedicated in the light of Torah. Your face should be shining like just like the Gemara says about Amayron. The Gemara says was because matzah that your whole face should be shining when you're learning Torah. Your lips, your das, your kidneys, because it says kloyes yoyatzos ta'loizna, because Chazal say that the kloyes sometimes they give you good ideas, sometimes they give you bad ideas. So sometimes it's a terrible thing. You have kidney stones too. I'm kidding. So the kidneys should be dedicated to giving you only, ideas of learning Torah. Your feet is your roots. Hear the words of Torah. The Pasuk says in the Neil, Sa'areisha Kamra Nekei, and the Glabushik is like Chiva, and Atik Yomim Yosef, the Eibishter is called Atik Yomim. So Divri Atik Yomim is the Torah, which is the words of the Atik Yomim, the Eibishter, who is eternal. The Mashal just points out, beautiful pshat, that basically what they were saying to each other was that we're going away from the Beis Medrash, we're going home. But really, I need us to know that every chelik in the goof should be dedicated to learning Torah. Your feet, taking it to Beis Medrash. Your eyes, for looking in a sefer. Your eyelids, to help you look in the sefer. Your ears, to hear the Torah. Your kidneys, to help you understand the Torah. Your brain, in other words, in every chelik of the Yiddish goof, should be dedicated to learning Torah. And Mashal says that the interesting thing is they didn't talk about the hands. Because the hands usually is taka dedicated for doing mitzvahs. Hands are really kliya ma'isa. They were talking about learning Torah. So taka, the feet are helping you walk to the bookcase. The feet is taking you to the Beis Medrash. But the hands, emes taka. You pick up the Gemara with your hands. True. But here we're talking about the Evonim, which are dedicated b'ikir to limud the Torah. The bottom line is that the bracha to each other was that every chelik in the goof, your eyes, your heart, your head, your feet, that everything should be totally, and both your kidneys, should be dedicated to limud the Torah. They would say like this. They would say this pasuk in Perez and Sochem and Yotzi for Hashem Shekach Hashem Tilul David, right? That Kapitel Kuf Mem Daled in Tehillim. So that last pasuk of that difficult tongue twister Tehillim right before you start Ashdei, which is the easy stuff. You know what I mean? So that pasuk, that's what they would say to each other. Why would they say that pasuk? Because they had a drash in the pasuk. But Torah mitzvahs is how does a yid become aluf chess, aluf punching, aluf basketball, Aluf, Ayid is Aluf, Torah. That's what makes you an Aluf. A champion. Ayid is a champion, Balon Torah. Subalim is to do mitzvahs. Chadam Alafeinu b'Torah b'mitzvahs, and Subalim b'Yisurim. We're talking about Ayid. The word Alafeinu means both. He's a champion in Torah mitzvahs, and Subalim is accepting Yisurim. In other words, a positive type of Yisurim. Not Chas v'Shalom that Yidden need Yisurim, but we spoke about this in the Shir last week. That the Gemara says in Echin that a person put his hand in his pocket to take out a coin, and he realized he didn't have a coin in his pocket. It was in the other pocket. It was at home. Oh, I left it at my house. I have to go back home. That's already for a Yid. That's a big tzad. That's already Yisurim. Only such Yisurim we're talking about. So again, the pasuk says, "Alafeinu Ayid is a champion by Torah mitzvah. Is Musubah the Yisurim and Peretz Shloyis is any kisses David Shotz Menach Teufel when Yotze Shlitz is ein kisses Shotz Menach Dagadami when Fox Shlitz is kisses Shloisha Shotz Menach Gechazi but Chasen Shleila Benet Amach Magdiach of Shil Berab. 4 expressions. Tosfos explains what each expression has to do with this word. That means that Rashi says that what happened? That David the Melech had his inner circle. One of them was Achitophel, which Gemara says was a Godel B'Torah, right? And we say in the Pirkei Avos, right, that Afilu Loim Lamed Chaver El Pesa Posek Echad Alocha Achas. Then he gave. Okay, exactly. So Achitophel. What happened was, Rahman al-Islam, that he gave very bad advice, very, very bad advice to the son, Absalom, how to rebel against his father. And then Absalom was foolish and he didn't carry through on the advice. He rebelled against his father, but he did the wrong moves. And that's how David the Melech was able to get back. But Achitophel realized that this guy is not catching what he's supposed to do. So he was smart. He realized that if Achitophel realized that if this guy not taking his, he's going to lose. He's going to lose. The other Melech knows that he's the one that cooked up the rebellion. So he went, he killed himself in Gamek. And the Gemara says, yeah. He didn't even get to the age of 34. He didn't even get Chatzi Yameim, which at least minimum of Yemei Shemin Yisayin Mehem is Shivim Shana. Bilam and Achitophel, they didn't even get to Chatzi Yameim. Can you imagine Bilam, the troublemaker Bilam? He didn't even live. Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, exactly. Sometimes these people and the Gemara said, okay, yeah, there's a troublemaker. You think he's right? Exactly, unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's unbelievable. When we were kids and we read the stories, and now you think about it, it's unbelievable. Yeah. So these people, the bracha was that we should never, they said that we were together. And we learned Torah that Chas v'Shalom we should never have from us, that we should have ein peretz, that we shouldn't have Chas v'Shalom, someone that breaks out like Achitophel. Why is it peretz? Because he was poretz pirtz, as says Malchal Beis David. Yoitzes says Shalois is saying Shiyas Shol Shetzman and Doeg Adoimi. Because Doeg was in Sanhedrin, and instead of he did something terribly foolish and cruel. David the Melech was running away from Shaul, and then he came to Noiv, and he asked the Kohen Gadol to give him a oichel because he was starving. He felt that he's going to die. and the sword, and Doeg went and told Lashon Hora, and Shaul was now upset at the whole Irakoinim. He thought that they're Chai Misa. Right, and Doeg was the one that did it, because no one else wanted to go do it. So that's the story of Doeg. What was the story of Gehazi? That Naaman was saved from his tzaras, and he wanted to pay the Elisha. He knew, like by the goyim, when you go to a prophet, they've given, yeah, exactly, like kvittel geld. So he was a goyish cup. He thought you have to give the navi kvittel geld. But Elisha said wouldn't have any of it. He wanted it should be a kiddush Hashem. He says nothing is not. We're not selling your merchandise over here. We're not selling red strings, and it's from the Rabbanu Shalom. There's no charge here. So he left. And then Gehazi went running after him and said, "Oh yeah. Elisha changed his mind. He took himself money." And he was very upset. And he said that the tzaras from Naaman is going to go on Gehazi. And that's what Ashta Toysa says. Tzvocha ze Gehazi shoyom etzora. Ksiv bei tomi yikra. Tzvocha. That's the pshat tzvocha, because he was tzeveach. He was always tzeveach because he had tzaras. Yeah, exactly. The same guy. This Gehazi was a piece of work, a troublemaker. Huh? Con artist, exactly. And then the last one is other Gemaras have here a Girsa, which was taken out obviously by the censors. Why was Yitzhak Notzi Berachai B'Seinu? Because he liked to make this popular. He went out in the streets and Gedarshan, and he gehakt a Chinik. He was Megal upon him, B'Torah Shaloi Kalocha. He was a very popular guy. Like, hey, as I say in Yiddish, Gehat at Singalaf Shroiflach. And he knew how to speak. He was a popular darshan. What they say today, he was an inspirational speaker. And people liked him. But instead of using it l'toiv, he used it the opposite of toiv. So his thing was berachai v'seinu. He was always hanging out in the rachoiv and talking to people their language. Nebach Rechwan al-Islam, he made such a churban for Klal Yisrael, that's terrible. So that was their thing. They darshan this pasuk. They would say this pasuk to themselves. Okay, the Gemara was so geshmak, so we went over the time. Mitzvah Shem, next week we'll continue. We'll finish off the Pedic. And the Mitzvah before Rosh Hashanah will Messiah this second Pedic. And after Rosh Hashanah we'll start the Pedic Misha Mesai, and then the Mitzvah Shem, and then we'll move on, hopefully throughout the winter, and then after Pesach we'll finish till Kates in the Morchem.
Oh, Rabbi, but Mashiach is going to come before that. But we're still going to learn.
Amen. That's such a beautiful bracha. If anyone would like to come, you could, if you maybe just jump straight through the computer.
Well,
if you put on a guy, it might work.
No, he's coming. He's coming.
He's a minion.
Oh.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you so much for joining us. It was terrific.
Thank you, Rabbi.
A good gewenst Jahr.
Amen. Amen.